Here is Miss Torres to tell us more about guide dogs. Now.
We are very proud that we receive our guide dogs from Guide Dogs Victoria of Australia and Royal New Zealand Foundation for the Blind. The reason why we receive our dogs from these two separate countries is because they are also rabies free as we are. So we, at the same time, protect our rabies free environment. Another good reason is because these two training centers are actually one of the top 10 training centers worldwide in guide dog mobility, guide dog breeding, and training. Now, you asked what types of breeds make good guide dogs. Well, traditionally or historically, we have tried every, different type of dogs from Humane Society dogs and donated dogs. We found that by looking for specific characteristics, we can result with the best performing dogs that will keep our handlers safe and doing what they need to be doing. We found that Labrador Retrievers, which are the most widely used breed for guide dogs, is our number one choice, mainly because they are friendly, they're sociable, um, and they're very intelligent. They mature very early, which gives us many more years of service. We also try other guide dog breeds such as German Shepherds and from time to time crossbreeds like the Labradoodles that we invented some years ago for allergies. Once our breeding center has produced a litter, we wait about 7 weeks before the puppies are placed with professional volunteers that we call puppy walkers. Our guide dog to be puppies are placed with these volunteers for 1 year, during which time they learn social behavior, obedience, and most importantly, they are mainstreamed into areas that blind people are most likely going to be frequenting. They will be visiting railroad stations, shopping malls, groceries, and every other area that you could possibly think a blind person may be visiting. And we do this so that the animal will, give us a response, a reaction on how they adjust to environmental conditions. A guide dog takes about 18 months in total for full guide dog training. The training begins once the animal has been placed with a volunteer, as I just described. Now, after 1 year with their volunteers, these dogs then return to the training centers for placement review. And during these placement reviews or evaluations, we determine whether they will be suitable for formal guide dog training. These animals must meet four of the most important qualities that we look for in suitable guide dog placement. The first one is we want to make sure that the dog is healthy and does not exhibit any pre-existing condition that may shorten their career. The second thing we look for is their social behavior. We want to also make sure that the animal is calm and does not have an anxiety or brisk reaction to any environmental conditions that they may be likely to be in. The third item we look for is their intelligence level. And that is very critical because a guide dog will have to be making independent decisions to ensure the safety of the handler. And the last one, which is the most important quality that we look for, is how high of a level the dog carries in its willingness to please. Because as long as the dog is willing to please, it will perform at its highest potential and keep the handler safe. Once we have established that a dog has met those specific characteristics, then we determine, or rather, we place the dog into formal guide dog training. And this takes about 5 months, in which the dog is placed with one guide dog trainer who will individually train the dog to do specific tasks. Such tasks will include walking in a straight line, stopping at curbs, and finding stairs and doors, and every possible task that a blind person may ask the dog to perform. The dog then learns to take its natural behavior and assume responsibility. What this means is that normally dogs will just do things naturally. You don't see dogs bumping into walls or walking into poles. They naturally walk around poles by themselves. So what our trainers do is place the responsibility on the dog to navigate for the person, and that means that the dog will take the person around these obstacles and up and down stairs safely and efficiently. Now, going back to the one of the qualities that I spoke about in intelligence, is one of the most important things that the dog does is, while they are trained to obey their handler whenever given a command, they also learn to disobey certain commands. And they disobey them based on the safety. If the dog believes that the command will pose an unsafe action, then the dog will hold its position. We call this selective disobedience, and is often seen when a guide dog team is crossing a street. So if a person is saying to the dog to cross, and the dog hears a vehicle coming on, the dog will hold its position and disobey. So that's very important in a guide dog's performance level to get into guide dog training. And then the final phase, which is 1 month of training with the guide dog handler, the person and the dog trains together. So this is where the person learns how to work with the dog, and the dog learns how to work with the person it's matched with. So that at the end of the 18 months of training, we will see a team whose skills have been blended together to form one unit. The match made for a person with a dog is based on personality, the person's lifestyle, and the person's physical makeup. How a person walks will also determine how the dog is going to be matched. The waiting time is going to be based again on the availability of the ideal match. So that if a person waiting for a dog that is a fast pace and has a long endurance for work, that may take a little bit longer than finding a dog that is affectionate and able to work 2 to 3 hours at a time. Guide dogs cost, believe it or not, $60,000. And while that sounds like a very big amount, we're talking about 18 months total of training for any dog to become a guide dog. The other reason is because the guide dog's job is a very, very high level performance job that we expect of our canines. And lastly, because of the breeding and scientific process that it takes to come up with the ideal dogs to place with individuals to keep them safe and mobility free. While guide dogs are very beautiful animals to see because they're well behaved and they're so professional in the way they carry themselves in public, it is critical and very important that we ask the public 3 things, and that is not to feed the dog, talk to the dog, or pet the dog. The reason why we ask this is because these actions will distract the dog from its focusing on the handler, and such distraction may cause injury to the person. Simply ask the handler or introduce yourself to the handler if you would like to meet the dog, and the handler will decide at that point whether it's safe to to meet the dog. Now that you know that it costs $60,000 to allocate a guide dog or buy a guide dog for somebody who is blind here, it's also important to know that Eye of the Pacific Guide Dogs Foundation is the only organization that provides guide dogs throughout the state. So every donation that comes into the foundation is being used towards individuals in our state. You can help by bringing in your loose change and whatnot into your classroom and building up your collection towards our cause. We would also like to extend our appreciation to this fundraising activity by offering the 2 top classes with the 2 top amount tote bags with our True Friend label or logo on it with a little piece of token inside. The way that you can help our foundation is by going online to our website at www.eyeofthepacific.org and join our Worldly Angels by adopting a Labrador Angel ornament. You ever heard the myth about Labrador retrievers? They have a saying that goes like this: Labradors were once angels that gave up their wings to come down to earth to be to help somebody special. You can find this on a Labrador's body. If you trace your hand over their wings, you'll see that they do have wings that extend out. So if you go to our website and go to our Labrador Angels page, you can adopt the Labrador Angel and we will send out an ornament to you. You'll also have the option to become one of our Worldly Angels and have your name posted on the website. You know, I am a guide dog handler myself, and when people ask me, what does it feel like to have a guide dog? My response would be, and has always been, that my guide dog is the key to my independence. My guide dog and I will be able to go throughout the community, whether it is to work, to go shopping, or just to walk around the neighborhood or have lunch with a friend. All of these actions are so fulfilling and rewarding that it's way more priceless than anyone can imagine. I feel dependent, insecure, and low esteem. So having the guide dog really raises our ability to be involved with other people on an equal level without having shadows of sympathy on us because we're not able to do what they think we're not able to do. So I'd like to thank all of you for your interest in our foundation, and know that every time you go out in the community and you see a guide dog team doing their thing, you can say with pride that you made a difference.
Ms. Torres and Luke, we'd like to thank you for coming to our school and educating us about the important work your agency does to help these guide dogs help the many blind citizens who need them.
Hey Canvas students, teachers, and staff. Wouldn't it be great to help this wonderful agency gain more money to get more guide dogs to help more blind citizens in our community?
You can all help by finding loose change or dollar bills in and around your home, car, etc. to donate.
Bring the change or bills to school and put it in the donation container in your classroom beginning Monday.
Hey Braxton, I got some money for the guide dogs.
Oh, cool.
And I got a $5 bill.